Back in 1981, I got something like this, or my family did back in for Christmas. Opened it up, we got something like this. We also got a game called Radar Rat Race. It was probably the only game we had for a good 4 years. The VIC-20 is from Commodore. Its side has one control port, on and off switch, a 9-volt for the old ones, cartridge port, video port, a serial port for disk drives and printers, a cassette port drive, and a user port drive, usually for modems. When you switch on to VIC-20, it will give you something that looks like this. If it comes up. It says it's a 5K machine, but it only has 3,583 bytes for usable basic. In the box you usually get a manual, something like this, and it has some games in the back, kind of, that you can type in. This is Killer Comet. After about a week of Radar Rat Race, I finally started looking through the manual and typed in these things and get a little bit more variety. It never did have a storage medium for the VIC-20, but later on I did get a tape drive, which is very helpful because most of the software for the VIC-20 came on tapes. A lot of them from Avalon Hill. A lot of Commodore release for the VIC-20 came on tapes. Like Know Your Child's IQ, Robert Carrier's Menu Planner, Know Your Own IQ, Know Your Own Personality, Quizmaster, where you can make your own quizzes, some productivity software such as Money Decisions 1 and Money Decisions 2, VicFile for storing recipes or whatnot. Modern programs come out for the VIC-20 all the time, like Picross VIC-20 48, Pentagorat. Very interesting games. Make use of extra memory if you can afford that. Professional games come out on cassettes or cartridges also. Battlezone and Pole Position from Atari Soft. One of the better ones is Lode Runner from Broderbund. I find Crossfire quite fun. One of the better games. Another game that came out on cassette for the VIC-20 is Sword of Fargol. You can get adapters for the IEEE 488, so you can use PET printers and disk drives. Other third-party productivity software such as Umis released another filing program and another checking program. A lot of cassette packs came for the VIC-20, mostly in the 6-pack. I think they had 4 of these come out. I only have 3 of them. BT-109, BT-107, and BT-106. Plus there's other disk-based games. Most of them requires at least 16K of RAM. That's a calculator. Other mass storage devices such as the VIC-1541, 1540 actually is more compatible with the VIC-20, but the 1541 was primarily for the Commodore 64. The VIC-20 didn't really have a lot of disc-based games until much later. And then of course Commodore came out with a lot of cartridge games like Menagerie, Pinball Spectacular, Voodoo Castle, Super Slot. The Super Slot is one of those games that very simple, but I find rather appealing. Mission Impossible Adventure. I never really got into the adventure games, but my mind doesn't work that way. Tooth Invaders and Clowns. Also other peripherals for the machine is like a numeric keypad that you can get. And Commodore also come out with its own cartridges for programming aids, machine language cartridge for assembly language and whatnot, Super RAM expander with a 3K cartridge, 8K RAM, which you need for most productivity software, and 16K RAM, which was be really good for. I got a third-party one that was made later, way later on. It's got 32K of RAM. I stuck it in an old Gorf cartridge. It doesn't work no more. And you can get modems for the VIC-20, Commodore branded ones, or with other software you can get a 2400 baud modem that can be used with the VIC-20. Would be most beneficial if you're going to use some of this software is multi-cart things, which you can put 8K ROMs, but you got to change the switches on the inside to different blocks of which the RAM is allocated. You can see which blocks you're using with the specialized card RAM from Hardco. And Commodore also came out with printers. Paddles that are Atari compatible, and a joystick which is also Atari-like. And then of course you're going to get books for the Commodore VIC-20. I would recommend compute books and magazines if you can get the books, the games, speed script, the elementary VIC-20. Like I said, paddle controllers. Productivity software, this is the best selling software for the VIC-20, but you also need like an 8K RAM and also alternative input devices such as the QualiPad or the VIC-20, and with an adapter you can use other people's parallel printers. What's really cool is that you can get penultimate cards, which I guess there's another penultimate plus card that come out from the future was 8-bit. And this one's a bare bones, which has a lot of games on it. Plus for the VIC-20 you can also use a SD card reader, which holds pretty much the entirety of a library you can get for the VIC-20, and you can use it along with different types